Thank you. Thank you so much for wherever you're joining from. I want to welcome you. Thank you. Thank you once again. Permit me to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night to you, depending on your time zone. I am Pastor Maxwell Nawihe. The important aspect of this very news and information is that the Dangote Refinery and the Presidential Committee, which was set up to ensure the implementation that local refineries are supplied crude on Naira to pay with Naira. There is a deadline that is very, very close, which is the month of September. And if all things works out very well, it means that the Dangote refinery will begin to supply petroleum products to Nigerians. And that is going to relieve a lot of Nigerians of high cost of petroleum products, in different refineries, because the very refinery of Dangote has a lot of advantages if everything works out the way it's supposed to be, as we are made to understand, in terms of price advantages, price, and also quality of product. And I think it's a welcome development. The presidential committee has been set up to see to that local refineries, including that of the Dangote refinery, are supplied petroleum product, or should I say crude oil, for them to start the production of petroleum products, which will somehow reduce the cost of importation, and which actually sometimes affect the pump price of petrol or diesel or kerosene and all the petroleum products, because that is actually where the subsidy is coming from, how much that is being paid in order to import the finished products of petroleum. That is actually what has been making it to be seemingly unaffordable by the ordinary Nigerian. The high cost of petroleum pump price is as a result of the subsidy which they have removed, and also continue to pay. If they continue to pay the subsidy, it is wasting the Nigerian resources and economy and finances, which supposed to be put or injected back into the economy and other sectors, more especially oil and gas sector. So, if this very discussion, this very agreement that is being reached by between the presidential committee, the panel that was set up by the Tinubu-led federal government, and that of the Dangote refinery, to see to it that the local refineries are supplied crude oil in order for them to start production and supply of petroleum product. If it goes very well, as I've said repeatedly right now, it is going to be a very great advantage to Nigerians, and hoping that corruption will not come in between from the time of this very implementation to the time, even if it is the next 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 10 years, as long as this very refinery is going to last, corruption doesn't come into the system to corrupt and to begin to make the Dangote refinery not to be of great advantage that is supposed to be to Nigerians, and which will in turn boost the economy of Nigeria. If the players in the industry, if the regulatory bodies, and all the stakeholders in the oil and gas industry will Presidential Committee Dangote Refinery agree on September Petrol deadline. Presidential Committee Dangote Refinery agree on September Petrol deadline. So, looking into the details of this very information, at last, the federal government's committee set up to ensure the implementation of crude oil sales to local refineries in Naira has reached an agreement with the Dangote Refinery for the supply deadline of premium motor spirit PMS next month, September. Next month, September, is the deadline that is being set up, that has been fixed to ensure that the local refineries are supplied crude oil in Naira, in order for them to start the supply of PMS, which is petrol. The deadline in focus is September 2024. FG also disclosed that the sale of crude oil to Dangote Refinery and other local refineries will commence on October 1st, 2024. That is what the federal government has said via this very committee. The Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, announced this during a meeting with the Implementation Committee on Monday in Abuja. It was revealed in a post on the official X handle of the Minister of Finance that the meeting was to review progress on the key initiatives and key roles outlined for stakeholders, including the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, Central Bank of Nigeria, and Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission and the African Export-Import Bank to ensure smooth implementation. So that is the agreement that they have reached to ensure that by September, which is the deadline, the supply of the petroleum product, more especially PMS, petrol, will commence. And at most, 1st of October. FG also disclosed that the sale of crude oil to Dangote Refinery and other local refineries will commence on October 1st, 2024. So we are very close to the date. We are very, very close, and also optimistic that the very deadline is going to be realistic. It's not just going to be on the pages of the newspaper. The news has carried it. The very news has circulated across the country and, of course, the Africa continent. So are they committed to ensure that the very deadline is realistic? Is it feasible? If it is feasible, if it is realistic, then it would be a welcome development. Now, it continued. It was revealed on the post, in a post on the official X handle of the Finance Ministry, that the meeting was to review progress on key initiatives and key roles outlined for stakeholders, including the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authorities, Central Bank of Nigeria, Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, and the African Export Import Bank to ensure smooth implementation. So if the implementation is smooth, there is no hitches here and there, whether as a result of bureaucratic challenges, bottlenecks, and all that. If it is smoothly implemented, then Nigerians will be better off of that. In a post, the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Mr. Wale Edun, today led the implementation committee meeting on the transition to crude oil sales in naira, which is also good. If it is sold in naira, it is a kind of making sure that the Nigerian value or the currency of the naira, Nigerian currency, which is naira, has more value, because this is actually what that strengthens other foreign currencies when they do transaction with their own local currencies. If it is US, they do it in US dollars. If it is Canada, they do it in Canadian dollars. If it is in Europe, euro. If it is London pounds, it strengthens the local currency. It strengthens the country's currency. So this is a very good implementation process or idea, that if it is sold in naira, it will help the naira to appreciate to a great extent, because it is not just going to be a million naira worth of petroleum product. No, it's not going to be just 50 million naira. It is going to run into billions of naira. Billions of naira. For this very aspect of selling the crude oil in naira, I welcome it. It is a good economic policy. It is a good economic strategy. It is a good economic idea. It is good. So we continue with this very piece of information. If you are just joining, I am Pastor Maxwell and here. Subscribe to this channel on Engine Speak. Subscribe to my channel on YouTube, Maxwell Nawahi. Follow me on X at Maxwell Nawahi, on TikTok at Maxwell Nawahi, Instagram, Maxwell Nawahi, on Facebook, Maxwell Nawahi. In continuation, and I'm quoting that very post coming from Mr. Wale Edun, the Minister of Finance. The meeting reviewed progress on the key initiatives, including the upcoming commencement of naira payments for crude oil sales to the Dangote Refinery starting October 1st, 2024. The first PMS delivery. So it continued. The ACF delegation, which visited the facility on July 30th, 2024, was impressed by its sophisticated quality testing and control laboratories, which meet and surpass global industry standards. So this is coming from the Minister of Finance, Wale Edun, saying that the delegation that was actually sent to supervise, or should I say to investigate, to do certain verifications of the facility, which is the Dangote Refinery facilities, has come up with a report that it is impressed by sophisticated quality testing and control laboratories, which should ensure the quality of product, PMS, diesel, kerosene, and other petroleum products from this very refinery, that it has a very good quality in terms of testing and control laboratories, which meet and surpass global industry standards. So is a good, very, very good development. It continues. Recall that the Dangote Refinery had alleged sabotage and refusal to supply crude to it as reasons for its inability to meet the July 2024 petrol and diesel supply takeoff. That was in June. The information came up that the deadline, which was the previous deadline, July 2024, was not realizable, wasn't feasible because of the allegation of sabotage in the industry coming from the regulatory bodies. There was a lot of denial, allegations, counter allegations here and there, the back and forth of all that transpired. But eventually, there is an agreement which is now in circulation and to the knowledge of the public. It continues. The allegation was made following the fire incident on sections of its ebullient plants, that is the Dangote Refinery ebullient plant. Jit Pratt, the Nigeria's manager of Trade Grid, which supports a wide network of independent dealers across Africa, had said in June that the Dangote Refinery is unlikely to meet the July deadline. That was what Jit Pratt said. The issue that is quoting him now, the issue of supply is still a major issue, and postulations on how the premium motor spirits PMS will be sold in US dollars are unattended to. So remember, when I brought you this information, I was citing conflict of interest, the Sharon formula, the percentage that's accruable to all the major key players, both the regulatory bodies, the government authorized regulatory bodies, or even the NNPC, and all the major players in the oil and gas industry. There was that interest of sharing formula. How are they going to share? If it is sold per barrel, what is the quantity and how is it going to be shared, the percentages? That actually halted and also prevented the July petrol supply takeoff deadline. A safe consumption may be August or September, or best and December at most. That is Jit Pratt saying a safe assumption may be August, which is this month, or September, which is next month, at best, and December at worst, which means if this very takeoff deadline, which is slated to be next month, September, if it is not realizable, 1st of October is not realizable, then possibly by December 2024. That was what he said in June, and we're hoping that it doesn't take that long. The Arawa think tank chief convener, Mohammed Yakubu, had said in June, following the fire outbreak in the Dangote Refinery, enemies of Nigeria are at work. That was what he said. Enemies of Nigeria are at work. Those who don't want Dangote and Tinubu to succeed. Nigeria and Nigerians still or will eventually triumph. That was what he said. The fire outbreak happening a few days after the owner of the refinery, Aliko Dangote, explained how international oil companies, IOC, are trying to frustrate him. That was what Dangote said when that incident took place. And hopefully, I think everything has been put in place from their own report, from their own information, from their own end, that everything has been put in place. There is a committee of implementation to ensure that there is smooth implementation of all that the both parties have agreed to ensure a successful September-October takeoff of the supply of petroleum product by local refineries, more especially the Dangote Refinery. And with this, we bring this segment of the broadcast to an end. And I am Pastor Maxwell. Now we're coming back to you shortly with the next piece of information and the next segment of our broadcast for today. Thank you very much, and God bless you.